out of recording. Yeah, we were out of, I'm sorry, I didn't start this earlier. We were out of recording space earlier. They have removed our recordings off of Zoom. They're just holding them right now until we tell them we can go ahead with this plan. So I would like to make a motion that we go ahead with this plan. It's not very expensive. If you give me a minute, I will pull it up. Commissioner Bucum, do you have it in front of you by chance?
No, but I think it was around $90 or something.
Yeah, it was less than $100. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve the web hosting company to do this.
Second.
Well, hold on. And I believe that this motion will move forward, but we have to give a specific amount, dollar amount. Are we saying $100 or less? The maker.
Yeah, give me 1 second. Sorry, I should have had this pulled up. Just give me 1 second.
No problem. No problem at all.
Okay. So the proposal is for $90. That's the maximum it would cost. It just depends on how many hours of video it ends up being, but that's the maximum it would cost.
No problem. Just restate the motion.
Sure. So I'd like to make a motion that we accept this, that ANC 5A pay $90 to Isla Studios, which is our web hosting company, to support putting our videos on the website in an organized manner.
Do a second.
Second.
Okay, so a motion's been made by Commissioner Lucio to make a purchase of $90, I believe, to Isla Studios to assist with transferring Zoom recordings onto our website. And Commissioner Bucum has seconded that motion. Ready for the question? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all those opposed say nay. Any abstentions?
I do have a question.
This is a question period. You can go ahead.
Did we receive more than one vendor proposal? Or are we only going?
No, they're already our vendor.
So that's no.
Yeah, they're already our vendor that was approved through a vetting process a couple years ago.
Right.
So it's just an additional fee under the contract we currently have with them.
Copy that. So I'll go with nay since we didn't get a new vendor quote.
Okay. So let the record reflect one nay. I believe we have there's 5 commissioners on the line total, so 4 yays and 1 nay. And no abstentions. Okay. So that motion has passed. So we are ready to move forward with that purchase. Please provide, myself with any other needed information. So
yep, Commissioner Bucum has the invoice.
Okay,
so
great.
You can go ahead and pay it.
Okay, great. Commissioner Bucum, thank you very much. Thank you, Vice Chair Lucio, for your assistance. Next up is our Public Safety Committee update. Commissioner Kozar, you have the floor.
Good evening, everyone. I guess my only update today is that we have a Public Safety Summit tentatively scheduled for June 19th from 6 to 7. It'll be held virtually. At this time, we have a soft commitment from Councilmember Parker's office. We just need to confirm his availability on that date. I've also sent out standby. I've also sent out invitations to the Attorney General's office, and we had a little bit of contact earlier today, but we have not received a commitment. The Office of Returning Citizens, Command 11 House, as well as there was one more, but all those invitations have been sent out. We do not have any additional commitments at this time. As I get those in, I will ensure that everybody is set up, and we'll get an agenda going based on whom all is available. That concludes my update at this time. I see a question from Commissioner.
Yes. Yeah, so Commissioner Kozar, I'll recognize Commissioner Bukum in a second. I just want to put this in context. For those that don't know or maybe new to the call, as we move into the warmer months, for some of us, summer's already here. For others, it's approaching, after Memorial Day weekend. And so we want to have a public safety forum, just that way we as a community can come together and ensure that we are promoting the highest level of safety for all residents that are part of ANC 5A. And Commissioner Kozar, who leads our public safety task force, has been tasked with putting together this forum. We're looking to have a diverse panel where they can talk about ways that different agencies are looking to keep our neighborhoods safe during the summer months, and also, excuse me, also give residents such as you and others an opportunity to talk to agencies, elected officials, various stakeholders that can help in safety. One thing I'll also say, Commissioner Kozar, we'll probably need a little more time than an hour. May need 7:30 or 8 o'clock. If it ends early, that's great. But I want to make sure that we provide the proper time to have a comprehensive safety discussion that could handle the entire summertime. So I just want to give that context before we open the floor. Before Commissioner Kozar, if you have anything to say in response to that, and then I'll recognize the commissioners and then the community. So Commissioner Kozar, if you have anything to add to that, first and foremost.
Yes, Chairman Fletcher, I appreciate that. I did take the time into consideration. With a short amount of time, I anticipate that we'll have a higher probability of commitment. And what we can do is we can have a post forum discussion with the hold on one second. We can have a post forum discussion at perhaps a later date and time, but by having it at an hour, there's a higher probability of commitment. And finally, the other agency I did reach out to was the Department of Youth Rehabilitation Services. I want to invite them to the table so that perhaps they can discuss some of the proactive programs and measures that they have in place for our youth as well.
Wonderful, wonderful. I'm hoping, Commissioner Kozar, that we can get this out to the community by the first week in June. That way folks can prepare to attend this public safety forum. And thank you for your leadership around this. Okay.
No problem.
I see Commissioner Bukum and then Vice Chair Commissioner Lucio. They both have their hands raised.
I just wanted to note that June 19th is a federal holiday, and I don't know if
Juneteenth.
yeah. So is that going to be a problem as far as people working that day or not working that day?
Yeah, the federal government, the government won't be, has a holiday, so they won't be.
So Commissioner Kozar, let's look. Thank you for that. Let's look at, and that should have popped in my mind right away. Commissioner Kozar, let's look at that Thursday, potentially Thursday, June 20th instead.
Not an issue at all. I will update all the invitations for June 20th.
Okay, great catch, Commissioner Bukum. Thank you. Vice Chair Lucio, you have the floor.
Thank you. I just have a couple questions. I was going to mention the June 19th thing. I also wanted just to let you know that just let me know as soon as possible when you do have the date and time confirmed, and I'll send you the Zoom link that you can use. And then also, please make sure to send me a copy of the notice so that I can send it out on our MailChimp. And finally, have you invited Nina, our CAC rep for 4D?
I have not sent an invitation to that person.
Okay, I would suggest, Nina holds the CAC meetings every month. And so I would suggest making sure she's aware, as well as Officer Hamrick, who's our community relations person for 4D. So I'd make sure that they are both notified as
Sure,
well.
you can send me their contact information, email, and I'll follow up.
Okay. Nina's you already have, but I will send you Officer Hamrick if you don't have it.
Thank you for sending both.
Yep.
Okay, and then Commissioner Lucio, thank you for that. I really appreciate your assistance. And if you want, you can copy me on the email too to make sure that I can give some last minute pushes. But thank you so much, Commissioner Lucio. I know that you have religiously attended the CAC meetings, and so that's an important component when we talk about comprehensive public safety forum. So I appreciate you bringing that and making sure we have that component at this forum. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner, are there any questions from the community? Okay, great. Silence. Okay, I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it. Next up is our commission action items. And so the first here will be community updates. Do we have anyone from MPD? Nope. Okay, so I think Commissioner Carlos from Councilmember Parker's office. No matter what, I want to make sure that you're working with Commissioner Cozart to get someone from MPD at our June meeting. I think it'll be very timely to have MPD present, being that we would have had a public safety forum just a couple of days prior to our June monthly meeting. And I think that could cement some of the key takeaways from the public safety forum. And I remember, and I try my best to follow directions. I was told that we want to always go through Councilmember Parker's office when trying to get MPD at our ANC meetings. So I just want to put that on your radar, Carlos, okay? All right, awesome. So before I get to Councilmember Parker's office and we hear from Carlos directly, I want to recognize and see if Anthony Black is here from the mayor's office. Anthony, and I know this is a little earlier than the time I gave you and your counterpart, but is Mr. Phil Thomas on the line as well?
Not yet, but I'm about to get him on here now.
Okay.
If you can allow, you can let Carlos
Sure.
take
Sure.
the time.
Sure. Yeah, I want to make sure I get him. I don't want to mess up that 8 p.m. time for him.
No, I
Chairman
got
Fletcher, this is Chairman Fletcher. This is Commissioner Lucio. Can I'm sorry, real quick. I meant to mention this when we were doing the agenda and I forgot.
Sure.
At the end of the agenda, there's a presentation from Casey Dyson on government relations and public funding. I'm sorry, yeah, and I believe that is going to be handled by the council member's office. So
I believe Casey's on the line as well.
Right, they are, but I believe we're going to sort of do it as one presentation, is my understanding.
Is that correct?
I am not aware of
Okay,
presenting
maybe
on Casey's trees.
Then you know what?
Yeah.
It may be my fault. I was mixing up with something else. I apologize.
No
I
problem.
think you might have been getting it confused with the message Melissa might have shared from our office.
No, there was another one.
refer-
I'll find it. I'll figure it out. Sorry.
No
No
problem.
problem at all. No problem at all. Well, I know we got all the partners here now, but I'm gonna you know what, Phil, since you're on, and Anthony, since you're on, I'm gonna give you both the floor now. I'm gonna give the floor over to the mayor's office. Anthony Black and my good fraternity brother Phil Thomas is on the line. So I'm gonna give you both the floor. For those that are on the line, also, Mr. Phil Thomas will speak to the mayor's budget, and Anthony Black will give some overall updates first from the mayor's office. Anthony, you have the floor.
absolutely. Good evening, ANC 5A. My name is Anthony Black. I'm your Ward 5 liaison. Just a few quick updates from the mayor's office. The DPR summer program registration is currently open. Those programs include aquatics, sports, and cultural arts. You can register online at dpr.com, dprprograms.com. And those programs are for youth as well as seniors. So please feel free to look into this multiple programs that DPR is offering and register. Also, the Giant Barbecue Battle. Giant Barbecue Battle will be June 22nd and 23rd on Pennsylvania Avenue from 3rd to 7th Street, Northwest. I will have a few tickets available once they come in. So please feel free to reach out to me if you would like a couple tickets to the barbecue battle. Again, my ward days are Tuesdays and Fridays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And those are just days in which I'm in the ward addressing issues and concerns. I encourage all commissioners as well as residents to please schedule some time with me. We can get out together and address those issues. Currently, that's it on my end. Right now, we have Director Phil Thomas, Director of Clean City. He's here to present the mayor's budget for Ward 5. So, Director Thomas, it's truly a pleasure to have you. Please.
So good evening, everybody. Thanks for having me tonight, Chairman Fletcher. My name is Phil Thomas. I put my information in the chat. I am the director of the Mayor's Office of Clean City and also part of the greatest fraternity in the world, Kappa Alpha Psi, and want to say a huge congratulations to Chairman Fletcher, who was elected as the first vice chair to the illustrious Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity. And also, I want to thank Anthony Black, as well as the only two people who I know work harder than me in district government. Is Anthony Black and Carlos from Councilmember Parker's office as well. For those who don't know what the Mayor's Office of Clean City is, we have three main functions, which include the pet waste and the installation of pet waste stations. We do rodent control. We don't kill the rodents. That's the Department of Health, but we do locate the hotspots thanks to residents like yourself, community stakeholders, 311 service requests, and emails. Lastly, what we do is community cleanups, and we run the Adopt a Block program. I like to say that we are the umbrella between the Department of Public Works, the Department of Energy and Environment, and the Department of Health Rodent Control Division. On April 3rd, can y'all put me as I know Anthony Black is the center, but can I be the center, please? I just want to share it with Mr. Black, if that's okay. On April 3rd, 2024, Mayor Bowser presented the district's FY25 budget to the council. In addition to continue on the progress since 2015, the budget for the next fiscal year will focus on three core elements: public safety, public education, and downtown investments. As the mayor stated, these strategic investments and shared sacrifices, the budget invests not only in a safer, stronger DC right now, but it looks ahead 3, 4, 5 years. It includes investments that accelerate the district's comeback and increase capacity to make big investments in the future. Public safety. In the mayor's FY25 budget, the 29th consecutive balanced budget, the mayor has continued to invest in public safety with $8.1 million to add 40 new community safety officers in civilian positions to MPD to free up police officers from crime-fighting tasks, and $3.4 million to procure and maintain the crime-fighting technology, including tasers and upgrade software for license plate readers. For those who don't know, we have a real-time crime unit. It's at 441. It's all jurisdictions, as well as National Park Service, as well as Secret Service as well. So it's real time, so they're sharing information in real time to catch individuals. In Ward 5, the mayor has invested $900,000 for improvements of the DYRF Youth Service Center and over $60 million to replace and renovate the 2 men's shelters in Ward 5. In education, the mayor's FY25 budget, the mayor has allocated $281 million to renovate and modernize public schools, including Langley Elementary School, Bunker Hill Elementary School, and Brown Education Center. Besides education, I want to acknowledge that the mayor invested $45 million to renovate recreation centers and community centers as well, including the Harriet Thomas and Fort Lincoln Recreation Center and Langdon and Carmel Community Center, all in Ward 5. Downtown investments. The mayor has continued to invest in our economic engine by allocating $406 million to maintain streets, sidewalks, and alleys across the District of Columbia, and $1 million for a comprehensive downtown transportation vision. In Ward 5, the mayor invested $15 million for bus priority improvements on 9 segments, including Benning Road Northeast, Florida Avenue Northeast, and Rhode Island Avenue Northeast, and $164 million for citywide improvement for pedestrian safety, including temporary safety installation, permanent, and install new safety infrastructure near schools as well. Excuse me. Now, I know I talked a lot about and read off a lot of numbers of the mayor's big priorities, the big 3 priorities. Again, thank you for having me, Commissioner, in the ANC 5A. I put my information in the chat. You can reach me at phil.thomas@dc.gov. My number is 202-794-2629. And when I say DC is open. I can take questions as well.
Yeah, thank you, Director Thomas. I appreciate that comprehensive presentation. Anyone have any questions for Director Thomas around the mayor's FY25 proposed budget? Director Thomas, I do want to know. I want to be, if I'm clear, when is the budget? When will the budget be finalized? I keep hearing the date June 15th. Is that accurate?
So the budget right now is in front of the council. I want to be very clear. The mayor released it to the council about a month and a half ago. The council will take its first vote next Tuesday, the 28th. And then 2 weeks after that, which will be the 11th, the council will take its final vote.
Okay. And then the reason why I asked that question, I have some of my students from American University on the line. So, and just for just constituents, period, I want to just have everyone understand the process. So after the first vote and the second vote, after the second vote, is that when the budget will become final and confirmed?
Well,
I know the answer, but
let me give more context because it's not we're in a city, state, and jurisdiction. That after the second vote to the council, the mayor released the budget to the council. The council goes through committee oversight hearings, takes 2 votes on it. The final vote will be the 11th. Then we turn it over and get sent to Congress for them to look over and sign off on it as well.
Got it. Thank you. I appreciate that. I knew you knew it. I just wanted to, all right, sounds good. So any other questions for Director Thomas? All right, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. And you know, tell Mayor Bowser, as always, thank you for all she does for all of us here in DC. And you know, the first father and first mother all reside in ANC 5A. So we're happy to have them here.
Thank you. I'll leave you with one comment or one thing to say. I know Miss Carmen from North Michigan Park Civic Association will kill me. I know Anthony Black will kill me as well if I don't mention. On July 27, 2024, we will have the Mayor's Office of the Clean City will have its third annual, excuse me, Mr. Black, I see him, his eyes. Our third annual roll-off e-cycle day. And this year we're going to add shredding as well. So it's going to be at North Michigan Park. So if people have bulk items, people have electronics, people have paper, they can bring it to North Michigan Park on the 27th of July, and we can just take care of that for your community as well.
Thank you so much. All right, we're gonna keep the agenda moving along. Anthony, as always, thank you, and we'll talk. I see a question in the chat. Oh, can you just put your number in the chat, Anthony? Okay. So next up, sorry, Anthony, were you gonna say something?
No, I was saying absolutely. I got you.
And next up, we have Carlos McKnight from Councilmember Parker's office with us. Carlos, you have the floor now.
I'm sorry, Chairman Fletcher. So the item I was referring to is the one about South Dakota Avenue Safety Project. And I believe Carlos's office the council member's office is handling that. But there is a representative from that here as well.
Okay. Carlos, is that something that you're aware of?
Yes, yes, and we will mention it in my presentation, and so there'll probably be a resharing of that traffic meeting. But good evening, everyone. My name is Carlos McKnight. I'm a constituent service coordinator for Councilmember Zachary Parker. I want to first wish everyone a happy and safe Memorial Day weekend. I know that it's coming up. There's going to be great festivities this weekend in the city. I know some people like to go to the beach, so I wanted to wish you all a happy and safe Memorial Day weekend. And I hope you all enjoy. I wanted to share with you all a few updates from the council member's office. Currently, as we just came out of the Director Thomas's presentation, we are in the middle of budget season. The council is currently going through the mayor's proposed budget and allocating and recommending where we should put our city's funds to support our residents and the operations of our city government. Throughout this budget process, Councilmember Parker has been very critical in making sure that we reverse many of the cuts that we see to many of our programs. One specific program is the pay equity program. That is one program that he has been fighting to restore. He has also been fighting to implement the district child tax credit. As many of you who've been on the call before might have remembered, the council member introduced legislation to create a child tax credit here in the District of Columbia to help support families in need by providing a child tax credit up to a certain amount of money per child. If folks are interested in revisiting or learning more about that piece of legislation, please feel free to reach out to our office. The council member introduced this because he believes that this is a way that we can help support our families who need support the most. And so we would love your support in helping get this into law. My next update that I wanted to share with you all is that many of you may have noticed that along the red line at our Fort Totten, Brookland, and the Rhode Island Avenue metro stations, WMATA is going to be, and here at Fort Totten, WMATA is currently updating their bus shelter bays. These are going to be, so currently what you might have seen before is that the old bays were covered in these murals that were used as a temporary art installation until Fort Totten's time was up to have these new bus shelter bays implemented. They're currently going through it, as I said, here in Fort Totten, so we're very excited to see this new project and see these new bus shelters come online as Metro works to modernize the system. Staying on the topic of WMATA, as many of you all also know, this is a historic time in the agency's history. They are going through their first ever redesign and reconfiguration of their bus network. What does that mean? Well, earlier last year, WMATA released a proposal saying that they wanted to redesign and rework our city's vast and our region's vast WMATA bus system. Many people have shared with our office from Fort Lincoln saying that we've lost coverage to be able to go to the grocery store, to many other places that said, I've been ghosted by the bus, or it takes too long for the bus to get me from Woodridge to Brookland or from Rhode Island Avenue, or I can't even get from my neighborhood to another neighborhood. And so this was something that WMATA said, we are going to modernize, we're going to make our bus network more effective. And so the council member saw this and and it was an opportunity to share feedback about areas in Ward 5 that he saw and that he heard from feedback from residents about how WMATA can better the bus network. Now that WMATA has proposed its current and more updated version of the bus network, there are some exciting news, and there's also some things that we wish for WMATA to improve on in their proposal on the bus network. Some of the things that we saw in WMATA's proposal was much improvement to services in our Fort Lincoln communities. We are still also fighting and encouraging WMATA to continue to improve services in our Trinidad neighborhoods. And also we wanted to make sure that we have connectivity from Ward 5 into downtown, so maintaining and growing services from downtown along Rhode Island Avenue. And so they're still going through a second commenting period, and you can also see where the council member scores some of these new bus routes in these proposed changes in Ward 5 that you can see what his thoughts are on that. We will be having a meeting for residents to engage with the council member around this bus network proposal so that you can share your feedback with him as we continue to work with WMATA and share our feedback from what we hear on the network. I'll drop the 2 links for his scorecard and the meeting in the chat at the end of my presentation. Lastly, I won't touch on this too much because I know we have a representative from DDOT here. We will be having two meetings with the Department of Transportation for the South Dakota Avenue Corridor Safety Project kickoff. As many of you all may remember, last year in the 2024 fiscal year budget, Councilmember Parker successfully secured $1 million for traffic improvements and safety studies across South Dakota Avenue. This is a part of that and what has been a part of the conversations, the funding that was there and has be coming into fruition. And now this is an opportunity for residents along the South Dakota Avenue corridor, residents in Ward 5 who have a strong interest in making sure that corridor is safe to come out and join us. The first meeting that we will have will be virtual. It will be on May the 30th at 6 p.m. And you can register for that. I'll put the link for that in the chat. It is ward5.us/SDA safety. That will take you to where you can register for that meeting. If you cannot join for the virtual meeting or you prefer to come in person, we will have a meeting on June the 1st at 10 a.m. at the Sojourner Truth School, which is located at 1800 Perry Street Northeast. So that is all the updates that I have for you all this evening. I will return it back over to the chair to facilitate questions.
Carlos, as always, you come with great information. Thank you.
Thank you.
One thing that in Councilmember Parker's office, I have to say, thank him as well for his work around the budget, advocating for critical issues, for Ward 5 residents, for all DC residents. So thank you for that. The child tax credit is something that is very significant. And so I know as an individual person, I support. One thing that I did not hear you talk about, Carlos, is June 2nd. Isn't there something going on, or did you mention that?
I mentioned there's something going on June the 1st, which is that's the in-person form of the South Dakota Corridor meeting.
Yeah, I got a text about is it a constituent service? Ward 5 Council Office Constituent Services Fund fundraiser.
I think that is something separate from me.
Okay.
So that's something outside of my role. So yeah, I'm not on that.
Okay, no worries. I'll disseminate the information at the appropriate time. All right, Ms. Uchenna Evans, you have the floor.
Hi, good evening, Carlos.
Good evening.
I was wondering if you all have the guest list for the Ward 5 safety call for next week yet?
I do not have that information, but I can definitely chat with our team and we can share that with you. I know that that is coming up next week, but I will check with them to see where they're at with the planning for that, and I can have them get back to you, and we can get back to you about that.
Thank you very much. And one other question, if I have time. I know you all were working with the team that was looking at putting an affordable housing project at Riggs in first place. And so I was just wondering where the legislation is in terms of closing that paper alley. Is that moving forward soon, or do you have a sense of the timeline on that?
I will have to follow up. I'm familiar with what you're talking about. It's that property right next to the school across from the church.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not too familiar if it has gone through a vote, but I can chat with Connor and we can follow up.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. Any other questions for Carlos? All right, Carlos, as always, thank you so much. We appreciate all you do, and you're more than welcome to stay around, but we understand if you have to go as well.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to always be here.
Absolutely, absolutely. So next up, under reports and presentations, we're going to hear from Christopher Berg from DDOT regarding the bike lanes on Riggs and Taylor Street. So Chris, I will say this before you come on. I know, at least it's my understanding, that the bike lane office within DDOT is a small but mighty team. At least I'm not sure if it's still a small but mighty team. But about the smile on your face, it looks like it possibly is. And so that I know that you do a lot of work across the entire city. Yes, and Michael, definitely remember seeing you before as well. So I'm glad that you both are here. And so one thing I will say, is and this is not just something to you. It's something for a lot of district agencies. When you have to hear from ANCs, it's really important that before projects get off the ground, before contracts are signed, that you come before the ANC, because by doing that, you reduce and mitigate potential community issues. And so, as you both are probably well aware, North Michigan Park Civic Association is a fixture with the ANC 5A. And so we want to make sure that community members, residents that are part of North Michigan Park do not feel as if things are coming into the community before they're even made aware of it. And so I know that that's not always your goal. Your goal is to be inclusive, and sometimes that doesn't happen. But let's figure out a way to make this work, because I did receive some communication around various concerns around the bike lane, around the bike station, and so I hope that you can speak to that during your presentation, and also be ready to answer questions from those concerned residents around this. So I just want to set that tone before I give you both the floor.
Thank you, Chairman Fletcher. I appreciate that. And if I may, I'd love to share my screen so I can show you some slides.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. Could you please send those slides to me when you're done so we can
Yes,
share?
absolutely.
Thank you.
Will do. Thank you. All right. Okay, can you all see my presentation slides?
We can.
Okay, excellent. Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Chairman Fletcher, for that introduction, and thank you, Commissioner Lucio, for inviting me to present some updates on the Riggs Road Northeast Connector Cycle Track Project. Quick introduction. My name is Christopher Berg, and I am a bicycle and pedestrian program specialist on DDOT's Active Transportation Branch. My role is to manage the planning, the design, and the construction of new bike lane projects in the district, and of course, to come out and engage with the public during the planning and design phases of those projects. This project came about by suggestion of a Ward 5 community member in 2022. DDOT began initial concept designs and presented some plans to the community in 2023. And after a break due to some staffing changes at DDOT, I'm very happy and excited to be taking on this project and working with you all to get it constructed. So oftentimes my team at DDOT gets the question, why bike lanes in my community? And I just want to highlight a couple of long-term strategic plans that drive a lot of our work on the Active Transportation Branch. The first of which is Move DC. That is the multimodal long-range transportation plan, which lays out a vision for a district-wide network of connected bicycle routes that serve all residential areas, providing low-stress routes that are safe, comfortable, and inviting for all bicyclists, from children to seniors. The second is Sustainable DC, which lays out a goal to get more people walking and biking and less people driving in automobiles. And finally, Vision Zero, which mandates that we create a safe and accessible safe and accessible streets for all users. These planning documents kind of compel us to consider projects like this Riggs Road Northeast Connector cycle track. As I mentioned, this project originated from a Ward 5 citizens comment, and just a quick project overview or overview of the project area. The limits of this project are First Place Northeast on the west side, and ending about a half block or a quarter block before the intersection of South Dakota Avenue Northeast. So, you might ask, why Riggs Road for a bicycle facility? This connects neighborhoods to the east of the train tracks to the Metropolitan Branch Trail. And also just to call out that the project terminus at South Dakota Avenue is the site where Carlos had previewed earlier in Councilmember Parker's office, is beginning a corridor safety study later this month. A quick note here about the existing travel lanes. I just want to point out that this proposed cycle track does kind of have minimal impact on traffic congestion, because as you can see here, we're proposing taking the curbside lane that only exists for this block here. Before and after this segment, we have just 2 travel lanes accompanied by a right turn lane. And so this project will only take the curbside eastbound lane between First and again, as I mentioned before, before the intersection with South Dakota Avenue. Quick call out here. I mentioned this earlier, but the Metropolitan Branch Trail has been expanding. The section that was newly built along Riggs Road to the west of First Place is finished, and it is continued up First Street Northeast, and will continue construction throughout the summer and into the fall, all the way up to the Tacoma Park Metro. The MBT averages about 2,000 users a day. So again, this is a vital time to make a connection and to connect communities and neighborhoods to the east of the train tracks with this excellent all ages and abilities bicycle facility. Okay. The existing conditions on Riggs Road. Just a couple of call outs here. As I mentioned here, we have these 3 eastbound travel lanes. And then there are also, it's also worth pointing out that the sidewalk does narrow to just 6 feet, kind of at its narrowest point. So the proposed design removes the curbside travel lane and replaces it with a 2-way protected bike lane, also known as a cycle track, as shown above. This change will allow for bicyclists and shared mobility users to cross underneath the railroad tracks to reach the expanding Metropolitan Branch Trail and to reach communities to the east of the tracks. It will also help reduce conflicts between pedestrians and bicyclists on that narrow sidewalk segment. So a quick review of timeline and project next steps. As I mentioned, this is not the first time that the ANC has been hearing about this project. In 2022 and 2023, there were a few public meetings, and also the project notice of intent was released for this project last March, I believe. There were 41 comments received in response to that notice of intent, and 40 of them were in favor of the proposed design, and there was one comment that was opposed. What I'm here today to say is that we are going to reissue the notice of intent to re-engage the community and to make sure that we gather additional feedback from the community. So that will take place by the end of this month. There will be a comment period of 30 days, and we will take June to review public comments, and we'll incorporate that into our final design plans. And then we will hope to move to a construction phase, hopefully this summer or early fall. Carlos mentioned from Councilmember Parker's office, there are a couple of nearby upcoming DDOT projects. The first is the South Dakota Avenue corridor safety project. I was asked to briefly mention that here today, but I'm glad that Carlos gave a lot of solid background on that safety project. Just to highlight one more time, there are 2 upcoming public meetings. The first will be a virtual meeting on Thursday, May 30th, and the second will be an in-person meeting on Saturday, June the 1st. I will send Councilmember Lucio these slides so that you may access the website to that corridor safety project and get all of the information about the planning and the upcoming public events. I also want to briefly mention Taylor Street Northeast, which is a big east-west connection that connects wards 4 and 5. We are in the planning phase of that project. The preliminary project limits for the Taylor Street section of this project will be between Fort Drive Northeast and South Dakota Avenue Northeast. So it's quite a lengthy stretch. So planning has begun. Public outreach will begin this summer. My colleague Ann Welch will be managing that project, and we'll be excited to share updates throughout the summer as they become available. And just to note that this corridor is part of DDOT's bicycle priority network, and as I mentioned, it's a very important east-west connection for residents of Ward 5. That's all I have prepared for you today. I want to thank you for allowing me to come and present these updates to you. My contact information is here displayed on the screen. And again, I will be circulating these slides, and I will be excited to review any comments or feedback on this project. And I will, at the request of the ANC, I'm happy to come back and present at future meetings if so desired. Thank you all very much, and I will allow the Chairman Fletcher to, if folks want to ask a couple questions, I have time for a couple.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Chris, for that presentation. It was very informative. And so I have a couple questions. I'm going to go to the commissioners, go to the community. So the reissued notice of intent by the end of May. You said you're going to open it back up for a 30-day period. So I believe it would be advantageous to have you come back in June, because that's our last official meeting before we take recess. It's not really recess, but recess. So that's one thing I want to make note of. And when you do issue that notice of intent again, if you can communicate that to Commissioner Lucio and myself, because we want to make sure that we get it out to the community, including members of the North Michigan Park Civic Association and everyone, right? But folks that I know have concerns around this. That way you can have a fair response from all community members. That's the first thing. It sounds like you're open to that.
Absolutely, yes. We will send an email notifying you when the notice of intent goes live. Okay. So I'll make sure to include you, Chairman Fletcher, and all the other ANC commissioners within ANC 5A.
Okay, perfect. And then the next thing around Taylor Street, Northeast Protected Bike Lane project. So you have received a letter of support from ANC 4B around that project. Am I correct?
My colleague Michael Avino might be able to talk specifically to that, but I don't have that information at this point. I know my colleague Ann Welch is collecting all of the public feedback and engaging with the ANCs along that corridor.
Yeah, I can speak to that, Chris.
Yeah,
thanks for that question, Chairperson Fletcher. On Taylor Street, I can't speak specifically. I don't know if we've received anything from 4B, but earlier this year we did receive a petition from a group of folks, I believe related to the couple of schools that are on Taylor Street, that had about 800 signatures, sort of asking us to initiate this study. So we're really excited to begin this project, but as Chris mentioned, we're really in the early phases and really looking forward to a robust community engagement process and getting a lot of feedback. As you alluded to earlier, I think at this point, not a lot of people might know about it, but as we go through the public process, we want to make sure that we're hearing a lot of voices.
Please. And then please continue. I believe where it's located, it kind of touches upon various SMDs, Commissioner Boston, Commissioner Lucio. So I want to make sure that you are engaging the single member district commissioners early on, so that way we can have the most comprehensive community comment period possible. Okay, so again, Commissioner Lucio, which I know you know very well or know of, and the same thing with Commissioner Boston. So let's make sure that we do that. Okay, so I just want to put that out there. Those are my comments, questions, concerns. And then I'm going to go to the commissioners. Commissioners, any of you have any questions or comments before I go to the community?
I'll just make a comment if that's
Please.
okay. Sorry, I didn't raise my hand. I apologize. I want to thank you all for this presentation. It was really informative. I know that we've been talking about the Taylor Street project for a long time. I know the residents in my single member district have been hearing about it for quite some time. So I'm anxious to see the plans for that. I concur with Chairman Fletcher making sure that you are inclusive of the single member district commissioners, whose SMDs border that area, as well as the one for the Riggs project, the South Dakota project. I want to ask a side note question. I know we've been working with you all on the bike stations along South Dakota. I know that there has been talk about bike lanes directly on a good portion of South Dakota. Do you have an update on where that's at?
The South Dakota study broadly, or the bike share stations along South
Well,
Dakota?
bikes I guess my question is the bike lane study part of this safety meeting that's going to happen? Is that part of that?
It could be. So
Okay.
I don't want to spoil the public meeting and the process, for those meetings, because we're not the ones managing that project. But that project is really going to look holistically at safety up and down South Dakota Avenue, and bike lanes are a treatment in the safety toolkit. They have been documented to reduce crashes and be a real safety benefit,
Right.
but they're not the only safety tool in our tool belt. So right now, the driver on South Dakota is safety, and bike lanes are something that may come out of that process. But
Yeah.
again,
I
that's
know
just
that
at the beginning phase as well.
Thank you. I mean, I know that it was raised to the ANC a year or 2 or 3 ago. I forget what year that was, that it was raised that was being considered. And I know that this community has a lot of strong opinions on that. Similar to, I think, the feedback you all got with the Connecticut Avenue corridor. So I just, I want to make sure that, all of these obviously have the opportunity for good community feedback and public input, but that one in particular, because that is a very, very heavy traffic street. Not that Riggs and Taylor aren't, but South Dakota is a little bit different. So, I would appreciate it. Make sure that we are involved from beginning to end on that project and notified and included. I am a proponent of having these connected bike lanes and making sure that they do connect to the MBT. I think it's good, and I like the fact that they're mostly protected bike lanes because I think that's safer. So I just wanted to say that. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Lucio, for those comments and concerns. I'm going to go left to right as I see it on my screen. Uchenna, you have the floor first.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I put a preview of my comments in the chat already. Good to see you, Mr. Alvino. I am going to bug you again about the curb cut on First Place. I think it's great that we are looking at a connection to the Met Branch Trail for those of us who live east of Fort Taunton Station. But I think we really do need an additional curb cut on First Place to actually get onto the trail. And I know you said that was probably just missed or an oversight during the design phase, a previous design phase. So I'm hoping that can happen soon. And my second point was that, I did submit a very lengthy comment during the previous NOI for the connector. And I do hope that DDOT did look at the comments, and I know you all are reissuing the NOI, but I do hope that you all, use the comments to rethink, what you all will present for comment, because I think part of the issue with the first NOI was that I understand it was supposed to be sort of the initial design or preliminary design, not even maybe 30% design, but it left so much up to interpretation, and I don't think it was provided enough detail for a level of comfort for people. I strongly support a connection for those of us who lived east of the station. I would also strongly support a safe bike path along South Dakota Avenue. Were those my 3 points? And then the final point is really just for the ANC. I think it is wildly irresponsible for ANC commissioners to make comments on behalf of populations of people. And I say this because I know that for the first NOI, ANC 4B did get involved, even though this is not an ANC 4B, and I understand they're across the street, so they were entitled to get involved. But I think it is wildly irresponsible for ANC commissioners in ANC 5A to be in cahoots with people in ANC 4B and making racial comments about bike lanes in the city. I think it is divisive, and I think it is wildly irresponsible, and I think we need to stop. So that is my main comment that I really hope the ANC takes to heart, because it is wildly irresponsible, completely irresponsible, and we need to stop it. Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you for those comments. I'm not sure who did that. But I support your statement, Uchenna, that should not occur. So I'm not sure if there's anyone else that wants to speak to that. If not, I'm going to continue moving on. I don't want to disrespect what Uchenna just said either. Okay. All right. It was responded to. Okay. So with that being said, so Michael said, yes, we've not forgotten. Okay. So with that being said, I'm going to go to the next constituent. Deb, you have the floor.
Thank you. And sort of a follow-up to one of the things Uchenna stated, I hope that the new notice that comes out takes into consideration some of the comments that were shared on the previous one. I thought I heard the speaker say there was only one comment opposed to it, but I know that at least the calls that I was on, even with the Lamont Riggs Citizens Association, there were a number of concerns with the proposal that was presented. And so I just hope some of those concerns have been reflected in this new notice, specifically the entering and exiting from Food and Friends, the difficulty that's going to be, the backing up of traffic, the way they had configured that right turn lane after the bike lanes are in, et cetera. So I'll leave it at that and wait for the new notice.
Thank you as well, Deb. Okay, so next we have former Commissioner Sandy Washington. Thank you for joining. You have the floor.
Good evening, everyone. I don't have much to say now because Uchenna and Deb have said what I was going to comment on, and I support them wholeheartedly. I just want to say that I do believe when I was commissioner and they presented that, because it was in my single member district at that time, that there was a vote that we took, 5A did, back in 22, if I'm not mistaken, regarding that. And I do believe there was some talk about it as well in 23 when we got the new commissioner. But I say all that to say that, yes, I really hope that this comment period will be able to generate more comments from the community, and that the community is well notified so that they can prepare comments. I feel like with the bike lanes, that are coming throughout the entire city, to me in some way is overwhelming. And I heard one of the gentlemen, it's for safety. And I think it's definitely not for safety. It's causing more incidents to occur because the cyclist, they don't observe lights or stop signs or anything of that nature. They do not adhere to that. And I think that that's something that DDOT needs to focus on as well, from the standpoint of implementing bike lanes, and maybe even, I don't know what agency would handle it, but to some point, some degree, that cyclists need to be insured, because they cause a lot of accidents, and then we, as the residents or the person that's driving, are always held at fault. So I have a lot that I'm going to probably submit regarding this, because I feel like we're being boxed in over here in Fort Totten with the bike lanes coming down Taylor Street and then South Dakota Avenue and then Riggs Road. So it's kind of like we're being boxed in with these bike lanes. So that's what I have to say. That's my comment, and I will definitely look forward to the new announcement that's coming out for the comment period. Thank you.
Thank you very much, former Commissioner Washington. Next, I see Tara, and then I see Tim Thomas.
Yep. Hi, thanks, Chris, for the presentation and update on these plans. I just had a quick question. I think you mentioned that the preliminary project limits for the Taylor Street corridor plans only extend to Fort Drive Northeast. And I thought previously Harewood Road was also listed as part of the area of study. So I was curious if you could provide any information about when that segment would be brought into the project planning.
Yeah, thanks for that question. I can speak to that.
Great.
Yes, you're absolutely correct. So we're looking at it as one very long corridor all the way from Ward 5 and South Dakota Avenue in the east. Taylor Street becomes Fort Drive. Actually, not a lot of people know that. There's just a little block that's called Fort Drive. And then on the other side of North Capitol Street, it becomes Harewood Road. And then, so on the Ward 4 side, or everything west of North Capitol Street, we're looking at Harewood Street and Rock Creek Church to see what changes could be made there to provide a connection all the way from the Fort Totten Metro to South Dakota Avenue. So that overall is a very big chunk that's still in our work plan, but the Taylor Street, just for the sake of, I really appreciated the chairman's introduction. We are a small but mighty team. We do have limited resources. So the vision will be looked at sort of in total for that whole corridor, but just to make it manageable, the section for Taylor Street and Fort Drive, or everything east of North Capitol Street, will be looked at as one project.
Tara, did you get your questions answered?
I did. Thank you.
I want to make sure. Okay, wonderful. Tim, are you still with us? Okay, I was getting ready to do a whole introduction for him too. So, next up, we're going to go back to former Commissioner Sandy Washington.
Yeah, this is just for the commission, for you, Chairman Fletcher. Since ANC 5, excuse me, since ANC 5A, 06, and 7 does not have representation, I am making sure, I want to make sure that you guys, that the residents over here in this community are notified when that notice of comment period comes out, because absent an ANC commissioner, people are constantly asking about things and who's representing them, even though I encourage them to get on the meetings. I just think that we're being at a disadvantage over here with 2 vacancies as commissioners. We're at a disadvantage.
Totally Totally. So, my apologies. Go ahead. My
And
apologies.
I just want to make sure that, you know, ANC 5A and you as the chair and Commissioner Lucio understand we need that representation over here. We definitely do. And not to exclude us. I mean, I know I'm the former commissioner and I do things to help things go along, but as a responsibility 5A has to our areas, 587 and 5806. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we are still, just so everyone knows, we're still working vigorously to try and get those vacancies filled. And what I know we will do, and when I talk to Commissioner Lucio,
We can't hear you, Commissioner Fletcher.
Kim, mute yourself.
yeah,
Mr. Thomas.
can we mute him, just Commissioner Lucio, Tim, for a second? Okay, great. So I do, yeah. And so former Commissioner Washington, I hear you loud and clear. We're working vigorously to try and get those vacancies filled. Commissioner Lucio and myself will make sure that the communication of the notice of intent that will be reissued will be sent out to ANC 5A as a whole through MailChimp. That way everyone will get notified of it. And we'll also do some word of mouth on top of that. And finally, former Commissioner Washington, if you want me to, you know, meet with some folks in the neighborhood, call some folks, because I recognize when it's vacant, the responsibility falls on the commission, which really falls on me. So if you need me to do anything or talk to anyone or come to that community, I could do that as well. I don't want you or other residents to feel forgotten. That's not a good feeling. So I just want you to understand the different things that we're doing to mitigate that and what we're willing to do to assist you, assist the community at this time. Because I got you any way I can, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay.
Chairman Fletcher, real quick to that point, I just want to make sure, you know, you and I got a notice about a request from a constituent in that area that's not represented about a similar issue. And I put them in for a desire to have a bike lane in another area. And I made sure that they were in touch with the proper person at DDOT. I think it was Chris, right? That's who I put them in touch with. I put them in touch with somebody. I forget who it was. Anyway, and so that they can get their questions answered, and then I shared with them that they need to bring that to your attention in the absence of having a ANC commissioner.
Yep. All right. So thank you, Vice Chair Lucio. Thank you again, former Commissioner Washington. And okay, Tim, you're back. I was getting ready to give you an introduction. You just were gone. So I want to give you the floor now, former ANC commissioner and Ward 5 committeeman and many other hats. You have the floor, sir. And
thank you.
Another good Kappa man.
Yeah, thank you. Zach.
I'm Gordon.
Gordon. Yes, exactly. Gordon. The young lady spoke earlier about heated mail being issued out. It shouldn't get to that part, but as you know, with these bike lanes throughout the city, the arguments are getting more heated. I heard the gentleman from DDOT saying they got comment period there, and they got 40 letters. I find that hard to believe 40 letters say we want this, and one person said no. I'm going to ask if we go back to that and look at that again. There are some concerns. It may not necessarily be no, but there's some concerns that DDOT and the DC bike lane may look at moving forward. Because as you know, throughout the city, you hear many people on this phone tonight concerned about, because you wake up one morning, your parking's taken from you, there's a bike lane, and you're trying to figure out what happened. There's a part of Northwest Washington that neighbors woke up, they can't park on each side because there's all bike lane and cars going up and down the street. So we have to look at that and keep data of concerns and comments. I understand this little bike lane group is a small operation, so I don't think they have the manpower to look at every aspect of what they're talking about when they talk about comment periods. And we know we're pushing dates. And as you mentioned earlier, they're coming back on a date and when you guys are recess. And we hope that they don't have a hearing while we're on recess. And you come September, you know, the DDOT's out there with the trucks painting lanes and everything. So the citizens who pay their taxes, and I mean they pay their fair share of taxes, they can be heard. So moving forward, we hope that happens. The other thing I want to say real quick too, my ANC commissioners there, Kozar, in our block on our street on Michigan Avenue, today there was a ABC license put up at 1919 Michigan Avenue. Though it's on the B side, but it still affects everyone on both sides, and we should have a weigh-in from both sides about this ABC license. And the hearing's going to be in July. This is on a very fast track. The notice was put up May the 14th. As I said earlier, the hearing's May the 25th. And it's a little weird. It's supposed to be wine, beer and wine, and on Saturdays they can sell hard liquor, Saturdays and Sundays. So we need to look at that and just see what that's all about. And so you guys will definitely be able to weigh in on that because it sits right there on the line. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tim, for those comments. So heard. And one thing I will say is if we have to meet, that's why I think, I'm not sure if you heard me, others heard me, if we have to meet during the recess months, we will meet. We don't want to if we don't have to, but if we have to, we will do what we need to do as commissioners. Last comment on this before we go to Commissioner. Let me Commissioner Lucy. I'll let you have the last comment. Carmen Williams, she's been having her hand raised patiently. So, and this is the first time for her speaking tonight. So, President Williams, I'm going to give you the floor. Then Commissioner Lucio, you can close us out on this topic.
All right. Thank you so much, Chairman Fletcher. I just have a question, and it's in reference to the bike hub that was placed at South Dakota and Decatur Street. I have sent a communication to the chairman in reference to the bike hub that was placed there. And I know I have spoke to a gentleman with DDOT along with Commissioner Lucio. And I'm trying to find out now whether there's any change to moving the bike hub.
That's a question for the bike lane team.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Unfortunately, I don't have the answer. I can follow up with my colleagues who manage the Capital Bike Share program, and we can see if we can get a better response for you.
I appreciate that. Commissioner Lucio, do you have an update?
I do not. The person we were working with was Greg Mateski. President Williams and I met with him a few weeks back. He said he'd have some answers. We gave him some suggestions on where to potentially relocate that bike share to. He said he'd look into both those options and get back to us within a week or two. I have sent him a couple follow-up emails and have not heard back. And President Williams was copied on those emails as well.
Thank you.
We sit right next to Greg. We'll make sure he gets on it.
Thank you. He was also, and I misspoke earlier when I said there was a resident in one of those other single member districts who had asked for bike lanes. He'd asked for actually a bike share station, and so that's who I had connected him to through your office.
Yeah, and just to add to this here, it's my understanding that it's not that the bike station doesn't need to go anywhere in ANC 5A. It's my understanding that there are just some other areas where it could be better placed.
Absolutely.
Okay? So
the places that don't take away resident parking and also the safety of the bikes that are there. We have given them a number of suggestions where it can be placed in North Michigan Park.
And that's what I mean by this is how we can work together. If we just have more conversations, because again, I know the bike lane, it's a buzzword, it's a polarizing topic. I don't necessarily want your job, because you have to go to different communities not knowing what you're going to deal with. But here in North Michigan Park, I do know we want to work with you, but just work with us and the community members and take advice from those that have been here for 20, 30, 40 plus years, right? So if we could just do that, pass that message along to Greg, So that way this could be a win-win for the community, okay? And if that could be part of what you all bring back to us in June, so that way we have a level of accountability, whether you can bring answers or you can bring Greg to provide answers for that, okay? That'll be helpful. Commissioner Lucio?
Thank you, Chairman Fletcher. Actually, I don't want to comment on the bike share thing anymore. I want to just respond really quickly to something else Mr. Thomas said. I just want to, it's totally separate subject. I know he mentioned it, so I just want to make sure we're addressing it properly. Mr. Thomas, I just want to let you know that all of ANC 5A was properly notified of that liquor license request, as well as a liquor license request for the Aldi that's going in on South Dakota and Commissioner Bakum's SMD. So all of us received both of those notices, and so I have, we are working with the community to make sure that the community is aware of those and has proper opportunity to respond.
Okay, but once again, let me say, you guys is 5B. 5A is the borderline. They have an input. So we got to deal with this guy over here in 5B that we haven't seen. Matter of fact, I wouldn't know he looked like he walked down the street. So we got to deal with that. Kozar, who's our ANC commissioner, I brought it to his attention today. And so if you look at the notes, everything's on a fast track here, okay? We look up September, the opening, and they're having wine, this and that. And the community have a right. And once again, I say this, and I will constantly say, they pay their fair share of taxes to the city. They should have a voice in these businesses that's running in the neighborhood that they have questions about. Okay, it's good that you get a notice, but the community didn't know it. A lady called me today and told me, so we had to go around tell everybody about what's going on. And the communication is with the 12 or 15 ANC commissioners. It's more not to live in the community. So we have to do a better job how we do that. Thank you.
Yep.
Well, Mr. Thomas, that communication came in this morning.
Hold on, Commissioner Kozart, because I know you appreciate order as well. And so I want to give you the floor. Just didn't want you just to jump out there and create anything. You got the floor, Commissioner Kozart.
I appreciate Mr. Thomas's communication. We did speak earlier, but just for transparency, the notice was sent this morning at 8:47 a.m. So we're literally on the cutting edge of the discussion. So what would have naturally occurred is happening at this moment, this discussion that we're having. Outside of that, again, I haven't had the opportunity to talk with anybody in 5B because this all kind of precipitated today. So you are going to have to give it a little bit more time for things and conversations to take place.
Well, Lucio mentioned earlier that they got notice of it. Was it a couple of weeks ago, Lucio? Or was it?
No,
what
we
day
just
was
got
it?
the notice.
I just said it happened.
When you say
this
no,
morning,
what
so
day
that's
was
when
it?
I got
What day was it? Let's put it. What day was it?
I felt like this was going to happen. We all don't want to talk.
Okay, what day was it actually you got noticed? Let's put it that way there.
Today.
Lucio.
We received
Wednesday, May 22nd.
the notice for both requests today.
Yep.
Same. Okay. I'm gonna let you go at that part. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
So hold up. Hold up. Everybody just pause. I need you to recognize that I said the exact same thing that Commissioner Lucio said. So you don't need to discount what I said.
No, I'm not discounting you, which I'm just not. No, Lucio made it sound like we're aware of that. It's like it came a couple of weeks ago. That's what I'm saying. When it gets to that part, I get very involved, and I'm just letting you know how these things work. And I just want to make sure we're on the same playing field, and everybody get same advantage. Okay, we don't want to be 20 points down. We come into the ball game. Thank you. I'm sorry.
So he said, "I'm sorry." We're all on the same page now.
Yeah.
Okay. There we go. So with that being said, Bill, do you have something to talk about regarding the topic at hand? Bill?
Hello.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Just for your information, when a group of five, myself and my group of five, were fighting Walmart, even though that Walmart is not in 5A, we learned that Arbor is supposed to give notice to because that Walmart is like within 200 feet of, it's on the borderline of 5A and 4B, whatever it is, that they're supposed to give it to both to to, at the time, you were the commissioner in that area that Ms. Bokun is in now. They were supposed to give notice to both sides of that borderline because of the location. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because, like I mentioned last meeting about the Aldi, I warned y'all. Now, Bokun's got the Aldi. That's on the borderline to help us with our fight. As far as you got to get standards, blah 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 blah, all that kind of good stuff. Whoever's on the other side of that South Dakota Avenue should also be in on this if we're going to do anything with the Aldi situation. And just like Tim Thomas said, that borderline thing is tricky. Aldi should have gotten in touch with both sides. It's a little fine print thing that's in the law, but they don't do that. They just automatically go to the one that Alva's not doing their job. They're supposed to let both those ANCs, like on a borderline situation like Walmart, Aldi's, and whatever Tim Thomas is talking about, both those supposed to be notified.
Okay. Thank you very much. We're going to end discussion on this topic. We've actually kind of went off topic a little bit, but that's okay. So we're going to bring it back. Christopher, Michael, thank you. I believe you have some marching orders from us, and we'll look forward to seeing you back here in June. And we look forward to the reissuance of the notice of intent, and we'll take it from there. You all are welcome to stay. We're going to continue moving on along with the agenda. And Commissioner Lusso, if you could mute folks that aren't talking, thank you very much. Okay, so the B item under reports and presentations, Sarah Molina, transportation specialist, the South Dakota Avenue Northeast Safety Project are we still on? Do we have somebody from that office here?
We do. Casey Dyson is on.
No. That's separate.
Oh, from which office?
Yeah, it's a separate matter. So I just want to make sure if there's no one here from regarding the South Dakota Avenue Safety Project.
Oh, no.
Okay, so I know Carlos spoke to that earlier.
Yep.
Okay, well, last but certainly not least, Casey Dyson, Carrie, you both are on right now from Food and Friends. Talk about, I guess, just updates regarding Food and Friends and the presentation. Thank you for being so patient. You have the floor now.
Great. Hi, everyone. Happy to be here. I'd like to share my screen. Can someone enable my ability to do that?
I just did. If you can make sure to send me your presentation, that'd be great.
Yeah. I think we've already done that, but we'll make sure that you've got it. So let me try that again. Okay, here we go. All right. Can everybody see this? 1 second, actually, it's loading. There we go. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great. So hi again, my name is Carrie Stoltzfus. I'm the Executive Director of Food and Friends. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about who we are for those of you who don't know and why we're here. I hope that many of you have already heard of Food and Friends. We're a nonprofit organization that's been operating in DC since 1988, when we were founded to deliver meals and friendship to those who were living with and dying from HIV and AIDS. We've been in business for 36 years, and we've been in this neighborhood at 219 Riggs Road Northeast for 20 years. We moved here to our current facility in 2004. Over the years, we have continued to expand our mission to care for not just those living with HIV/AIDS, but with many other illnesses, such as all types of cancer, kidney failure, heart failure, and diabetes. And last year, we delivered almost 1.9 million meals to over 5,000 people. Our food is tailored to the health needs of each person on our services. We also provide nutrition counseling to help our clients better manage their symptoms and side effects. We provide food for caregivers and dependents of the sick person, and all of this is done free of charge to the families who receive our meals. The next few slides just show a snapshot of our impact across DC, particularly in Ward 5 where we live. information about our volunteer program. I know a number of you have been here. I hope others consider signing up to volunteer. And this is a story of a client that we have helped. You'll see this in the slides. And then also really great feedback from our clients as to some of the ways that we've impacted their lives. People's health has improved. They're better able to follow doctor's orders. We're lowering food insecurity, helping people manage conditions. And last year, I mentioned that we delivered 1.9 million meals to over 5,000 people. That's more than 3 times the number of meals that we delivered 20 years ago when we first moved to 219 Riggs Road. I'm sure everyone on this call, knows or has known someone who's living with a serious illness, and the demand for our services is very high. We need to expand our kitchen on the land that we own in order to be able to take care of everyone who relies on us. And a bigger kitchen is going to allow us to continue to grow to meet the needs of people who are too sick to cook or shop on their own. So this graphic, you'll see there's not a specific timeline associated with it right here. It's just meant to, symbolize the increased demand for our services and our increased need to grow and take care of more people. So in order to help us do that, Food and Friends has submitted an application to DDOT for a curb cut on the South Dakota Avenue side of our property to enable us to expand our kitchen and provide more meals to those in need. And we believe that our application is aligned with the community goals for the park at Riggs Road and South Dakota and for increased traffic safety. We have applied for a conceptual curb cut, and our design is still under review. But Emily Schneider from Studios, who's our architect, is on the call with me this evening, just in case anyone has questions about our kitchen expansion. But the short story on this slide is that the black line is our property line, yellow square is our current building, the blue square would be the expansion. And then the curb cut we're applying for is right here. So Emily, is there anything that you want to add to this slide?
Yeah, just I'm sure most of you in the neighborhood know exactly where this is, but just wanted to point out that this is right on the corner of South Dakota and Riggs Road, and the park Carrie mentioned is just to the north of the existing Food and Friends building. So yeah, like you said, the yellow is the building they have now, and then the blue block represents that proposed addition. And even though we are early in design, we know that addition is going to provide the extra kitchen space and admin space that Food and Friends needs to grow and expand their operations.
Thank you, Emily. And Daniel Solomon from Grove Slade, which is the traffic engineering firm who designed our submission to DDOT, is also here on this call. And this slide shows the curb cut more closely and in more detail. So Daniel, do you want to say anything about this slide?
Sure. So Carrie's already, good evening, everyone. Daniel Solomon. I'm a principal of Grove Slade. We're a local transportation planning and engineering firm. Carrie already did a great job covering at a high level what the application is. But yes, it's a conceptual curb cut application in front of the Public Space Committee. It's essentially to dial in the location and design of the curb cut at a conceptual level, so then we can proceed with the rest of the design of the building around that. So it's being applied to DDOT, and we're coordinating and waiting on feedback from them. And as part of that process, I think as Carrie mentioned, we're here to interact with you all and receive feedback from the community. So happy to answer any questions you all have.
Thank you. And so, again, this is just a little bit about who we are. We want to live in a world where everyone who is seriously ill has the nourishment they need to manage their illness. And we believe that anyone can get sick, but everyone can help. So that's really who we are. Next steps, I believe feedback from DDOT is due to us by May 30th. We hope to soon hear from DDOT as to whether we get on the docket at their next hearing on June 27th. We're asking ANC 5A for a resolution in support of our application for the curb cut. We do have support from Councilmember Parker, and we hope to have yours as well. So thank you for your time. And if we have time, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much for the presentation. Commissioners, are there any questions from you first? Okay, I think there's some questions from the community. Uchenna, you have the floor first. I think there was a question.
Chairman Fletcher, I have a question. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, Commissioner Lucio, you can ask a question, then I'll go to Uchenna. And then I see Gavin has a question in the chat, and Shamik has one as well.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you so much for that presentation. I just want to, two things. I just want to clarify real quick. So it is a curb cut for pedestrian access or curb cut for vehicle access?
Vehicle access.
Okay, that's what I wanted to, that's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure. And that so you're talking about truck traffic loading in and out of your facility primarily?
And cars, yeah.
Okay. Secondly, I just wanted to make sure you are in, have you been working with this with your single member district commissioner?
Yes, Shayla has been to Food and Friends recently, and we walked her around our building and the property. We just submitted the application at the end of April, and so we've been doing that due diligence over the past few weeks.
Okay, and Commissioner Bakum, have you held a single member district meeting to have your residents weigh in on this, since it affects your single member district?
No, I haven't.
Okay. That's my question, because typically not required, well, not required, right? That is something we've just done by protocol in this ANC is that typically we bring it to the single member districts first, and then the ANC commissioner has to put this on the agenda and present it for the whole commission once we, so I don't know what the single member districts stand on this is at this point, is my only concern. So thank you for that.
And to follow up to what Commissioner Lucio was stating, which is accurate, it's not required. It's just it's the culture, the protocol that we have put in place within ANC 5A to make sure we're hearing from the community, and the community members feel as if they are they are part of the decision making process. Sometimes it's easier to do that than others because of time constraints. So you may have said this before. My apologies, because I was fielding questions and text messages at the same time. When is your next hearing? When do you need something from ANC 5A?
So we have not yet heard from DDOT if we will be on the docket for the June 27th hearing. That would be the first opportunity for that hearing to take place.
Okay.
So in a little over a month.
Okay, so the June 27th hearing is literally the day after our June ANC meeting. So between now and June 26th would give Commissioner Bukum an opportunity to host a single member district meeting where she could talk about this issue and maybe others to hear from the community. If you are on that June docket, if you're not, that gives us more time. So Commissioner Bukum, I encourage you and I highly recommend and I support Commissioner Lucio's statement around reaching out to the stakeholders of Food and Friends to schedule a single member district meeting around this topic so you can hear from your community members. Because I know the folks in our place, Aventine, and the neighboring community would probably want to have a longer period to discuss the pros and cons and their concerns.
Okay.
Okay. Awesome. All right. And so we're gonna go to Uchenna, and then we'll take it from there. Uchenna, you have the floor.
Hi, good evening, Carrie and Casey. So as you said, this curb cut you want for vehicle access, which means there will be a road. So do you have the dimensions for the road? Like how long and how wide the road you think will be?
It would be a driveway onto our property, right? So it would cross a little bit of district land because our property kind of comes to a point on South Dakota. I'm happy to pull that slide up again if that would be helpful.
And while you're pulling that up, have you all reached out to LRCA at all?
No, we haven't. We started with you. our understanding is that for these types of applications, you know, the ANC holds weight. And so we wanted to start with you first. We do have a really good relationship with the LRCA. Right. So let me maximize this again. So again, this is our property line here. Here's the sidewalk. And so part of the application would be driveway crossing this bit of district land. So the reason that our property is shaped the way it is from the speedway that used to be here, right? So that's why our property has that arc. It matches where the road used to be before they moved it out here. And so it would require this little bit of crossing the district land. But it would be, you know, a driveway onto our property itself.
But you don't yet know how wide you're looking at for that driveway.
So this looks like, Daniel, is this 24
Sure.
feet? Is that what that
Correct.
says?
Yeah, Ms. Evans, it's 24 feet wide.
Mm-hmm.
And then are you all envisioning that it would go behind your property to access your existing parking lot? Like
It would go onto our property, yes, to access the expanded buildings. So it would be a second entrance.
I see. So you wouldn't be able to drive around to the existing parking lot, at least in your plans.
We may, I mean, you know, like I said, ours is still under review, but we at least need to get into this part where the expanded kitchen would be. And so a driveway would come along this part, I'm sorry, of our property right here.
And as part of this application, do you all provide like vehicle count, like how many trucks are entering, exiting the property, how many other vehicles are entering and exited the property at, you know, different times of day and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I don't have those numbers pulled up, but I know that we have I believe we've submitted those as part of the application. I know we've done our own counts. So I don't have those numbers here, but yeah, we have done those counts.
Can you share those publicly?
I'm sure we can. I mean, the number of trucks that are going in and out of Food and Friends every week?
Yeah, just the vehicle count, like how many, because right now there's not a curb cut right there. So people walking on South Dakota Avenue will now be encountering trucks and cars entering and exiting from this curb cut if it is approved. And so I was just curious if you all can publicly share whatever is in your application.
Sure. I mean, I'll get you those truck count numbers.
Okay, I'll email you all additional questions if I have.
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
Yep.
Can you please CC me so I'm in the loop on the discussion? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question and answer period. It looks like some questions were posed in the chat as well that you were able to answer. I want to make sure that everyone that has a question gets their question answered. This is the road. Okay. All right. Gavin, yes, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, I just wondered if you could speak to what is the purpose for or the need of the curb cut? Is it that the addition to the building can't be accessed from the other parking lot, or is it in terms of increased vehicular numbers, or what the goal or the purpose is? And also, if there's a curb cut, if there's a driveway on with an entrance from South Dakota, will there also be a pedestrian entrance off of and sidewalk from South Dakota? Thanks.
Yeah, so I do envision, you know, both cars and trucks and pedestrians being able to get to our front door. So we're building in this direction of South Dakota. We want to have more of a street presence and a community presence. You know, like I said, we we built where we built, and then the road got moved away from us, right? So we want to, really center ourselves and have our main entrance be on South Dakota. A lot of it is in regards to volume, Gavin. Over, like I said, we're delivering 3 times the number of meals that we were when we moved in here 20 years ago, and the community demand for what we have to offer is really high, and we're out of room. So we want to build out towards South Dakota, and we need an entrance to that side just to, give us the ability to move more food in and out of this property. The bike lane is affecting access to us on the Riggs Road side. And we just have to increase access to our property. I think it's also going to help, cars and trucks get out of the neighborhood more quickly if they've got a second access point, depending on the direction that they're going. But it's really about increased, production of food and moving it through our facility and out to the people who need us.
Hey, Gavin, did you get your question answered?
Yes, thank you, Carrie. Thank you, Commissioner.
Absolutely. Thank you for the question. Okay. Are there any other questions? Okay, absolutely. Uchenna, I see your hand. Was that from before or?
No, it's a new one. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So you
Wanna
all
make
are keeping the parking lot on Riggs Road. So people will be driving past that parking lot, turning onto South Dakota and entering this new.
There'll be separate entrances the way that we're envisioning it right now, Chenna. The food delivery vehicles will be coming in on the South Dakota side, and we're going to be putting a true loading dock there. We don't have that right now. It makes deliveries more difficult because the food drivers have to use a ramp, and sometimes we're paying higher delivery charges. So food deliveries would mainly be coming in on the South Dakota side. Staff and volunteers, including delivery volunteers, would be coming from the Riggs Road side, and our delivery vans would be coming and going from the Riggs Road side.
I think I follow. Okay, I'm hoping Commissioner Bokum has all of this, is getting all of this information, because it's hard to process it, hearing it, and not seeing anything in writing. So thank you.
Yeah, and we did send the slides, and we can send those again. So I'm happy to talk to you further.
And Carrie, I think the only thing that I would add to that is there is a bit of grade change between the entrance on Riggs Road and the request for one on South Dakota Avenue. So just navigating that grade change on the site, I think that extra curb cut is really going to help provide access to the new addition at the building.
Thank you.
And I would be, Uchenna, any other questions?
No, thank you.
Okay, great. I would be remiss if I did not recognize one of my awesome students in the chat. He has a question. And so Eddie, you have the floor if you feel comfortable asking the question here and now. You're more than welcome to.
Thank you, Chairman Fletcher. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Eddie Dion Burks, and as Dr. Fletcher mentioned, I am in his class. And so I'm just going to restate what I put in the chat. Of course, this is coming from a student's perspective, a New York State resident, so I'm unsure about the laws there in DC. However, I just was wondering if any of DC's easement laws could kind of help inform what the curb request that is taken by Foods and Friends could kind of provide more insight into as far as the request for additional space. I think that if that law and what we're trying to kind of understand from this board meeting collaboratively could kind of help figure out what would be the best way to provide such recommendations. So that's all I wanted to say, of course, coming from a student perspective. So thank you so much. Professor Fletcher is what I refer to him as. It was an honor to kind of just speak and share a little bit in this space.
Thank you, Dr. Burks, for that great question. Not sure if you're able to answer that to some extent at this time.
I don't believe I can. I'm not familiar with easement laws.
Okay.
But that would probably be the kind of thing that DDOT will weigh in on and give us feedback from as part of this application.
Gavin, yes.
Thanks. I was just wondering, I know it's not part of the current application, but in terms of the addition, are you expecting that the addition will be by right, or will that be going to zoning?
By right.
Thanks.
Okay. Okay. My apologies. I'm trying to multitask and send a message in the chat. Okay. Perfect. Do we have any other questions or comments for Food and Friends? All right. Well, thank you both. Oh, yes. Former Commissioner Washington, you have the floor.
I just want to say it seems like it's going to be a lot of congestion on South Dakota Avenue and Riggs Road. That's all I can say. Lots of safety issues to be addressed.
Absolutely.
A lot.
Absolutely. Safety, transportation, community engagement. Hopefully the left hand is talking to the right hand hand is talking to the left. Move forward with this as well. So
but it doesn't appear, Commissioner, that's
right
happening, because all of the DDOT folks that were there talking about what's going to be happening at the bike station, and Food and Friends talking about what they're going to do, seem like there's not that consensus of a general conversation going on that all of them should be involved with the community.
And so with that being said, Commissioner Cozart, I'll talk to you as well, but let's see if we could potentially get somebody, if you haven't already done so or gonna do so, let's see if we can get somebody from DDOT at the Public Safety Forum as well. Because I think, safety is defined as more than just violence and crime. And so I want to make sure that we have a comprehensive discussion around all these topics. So former Commissioner Washington, I'm going to do my best to get DDOT or DDOT rep at the Public Safety Forum also, because coordination is key. I think that's something that we've continuously been dealing with in this community. And I won't go on and on now about that, but you're right. And this is something that we do have to continue to stay on top of, because it's a lot going on. It's a whole bunch going on for sure. So I see President Williams and then Commissioner Bukum. So President Williams, I'm gonna, since you had your hand raised.
Thank you.
Yes, and then I got Commissioner Bukum next.
Okay, thank you, Chairman. I have a comment and then I have a question. Yes, there was a lot of activity, a lot of changes going on in the intersection. They recently made a change on 3rd Street. A number of years ago, when they changed the traffic flow on South Dakota Avenue before you got to Riggs Road because of the development that was coming, they realized that it was an error. It's still an error, and they're still trying to recover from that. So with Food and Friends trying to put the curb cut back on Riggs Road that they took away, if it doesn't get approved by DDOT, what's the backup plan?
I want to make sure I understand your question. We have a curb cut on Riggs Road. We're asking for an additional one on South Dakota Avenue.
Right. There used to be a curb cut coming from Riggs Road to South Dakota Avenue.
Oh, the Speedway?
No, it's gone now. And they
yes,
took it away.
correct. Correct.
So if you don't get your curb cut for what you're looking for now, what's your backup plan if DDOT doesn't approve it?
I mean, we're going to have to make some adjustments to our design. We're going to have to grow regardless. It's just a short little driveway onto our property. It's nowhere near as disruptive as what that Speedway was that they took away. So, I mean, we need it. We're really hoping to get it. We hope we have all of your support, but we're going to have to grow regardless. The community needs us. The DC and the wider area need us, and we're going to make sure we're taking care of people regardless. But this is an important step to do so. So we hope we don't have to get to that point.
Okay. Next up, Commissioner Bukum.
Yes, thank you. I just say I'll happy to be obviously the point of contact on all this. So if anyone has any feedback, please email me. I will schedule an SMD meeting. I'll try to get DDOT there. Try to get LRCA there. So I do intend to get everyone in a meeting so we can discuss this.
Wonderful. Wonderful, Commissioner Bukum, and let me know how I can be of assistance. LRCA, that's like my second home after North Michigan Park. So let me know if you need any help getting in contact with anyone. But that's great. Thank you for your leadership around that. And again, thank you, Commissioner Lucio, for making sure we get this done the right way. So Deborah, you have the floor next.
This is Deborah Grimstead, a longtime member of LRCA's Development Task Force. Also in the mix is what Cafritz Foundation is going to do with their remaining land. Underneath the bottom perimeter of the area on Food and Friends diagram, that land is owned by the Cafritz Foundation, and 10 years ago, they were going to put buildings there. So we have a lot of parties that have a stake in what's going to happen in that little part of town. That's all.
Thank you very much, Deborah. For those that don't know, Deborah is a wealth of knowledge, especially around topics such as these. So, Commissioner Bukum, I would definitely leverage the knowledge of Deborah and others as you plan out this meeting. Make sure you have all the stakeholders there that are needed.
Will do.
Wonderful. Let's see. Okay. So, are there any other questions or comments? We're doing okay with time. So, all right. If there are none, Food and Friends, thank you all so much. You all know you are near and dear to me, and my fraternity. We have volunteered with you many times during Martin Luther King Day, and so we want to continue to support you. And again, it's just about doing this the right way, which I know you're all about. And just going through the ASMD and then coming back before the ANC, and hopefully we will be in a position to support you thereafter. Okay, we're at the end, and so what I want to do with the time remaining before we adjourn, are there any community concerns that need to be addressed, that need to be addressed at this time? I see two hands. I see you, Chenna, and I see Deb.
Hi, I know I'm talking a lot tonight.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good.
So I don't know how to say this, but I think I know, speaking of Cafritz Foundation, I know that there was a hearing of the Public Charter School Board for Social Justice School to relocate across the street from where they are now. And I just get the sense that things are getting lost in the ANC's email because I hadn't heard anything about that. I just happened to look it up, a few weeks ago and saw that it was on the calendar, but I don't think the ANC mentioned it. So for everyone's awareness, they have to relocate. They're planning to put temporary modular classrooms. They're hoping to be there just for 18 months and then have a permanent facility on the site. And basically sounds like the Cafritz Foundation is going to rehab one of the remaining existing warehouses that is on the site, is what I gathered from the application. But I just raised this because, they did in their application say that they did reach out to the ANC. Mm-hmm. They did not say that they received a response from the ANC, but they did say they reached out to the ANC. And so, it just seems like things might be getting lost in the sauce a little bit.
Deb,
Hold on, please. I'm not. I want to be clear. I'm not trying to mute anybody. I'm not trying to be rude. Fine. Just want to keep order. I want to be very clear about that. I don't want anyone to take that the wrong way. So I have some comments, but I'll reserve them. Commissioner Lucio, I heard you first, so you have the floor, and then I see Deb has her hand, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, so thank you, Jenna, for mentioning that. I have not received any as holder of the ANC 5A email. I have not received anything related to that, nor have I as ANC commissioner for 5A03. I don't know if they've reached out specifically to the commissioner that represents that single member district, but I have not received anything. So I will go back and check, but I check my email very frequently and I've not received anything.
Sorry. So they said they reached out to Chairman Fletcher because they think that he is still their SMD representative when he is not.
Got it. So I just wanted to make sure where that was going. So thank you for
Correct.
clarifying.
I was going to comment at the end. I didn't want to. So, my name is brought up. So what I'll say is, yes, that is correct, Uchenna. That Myron Long had reached out to me because he thought that I was still the single member district commissioner. I told him to get in touch with Commissioner Bukum, and I know he did not because he was looking to receive a letter of support and a timeline that wasn't really going to work for us. But I still told him to reach out to Commissioner Bukum, but then he decided not to. He said he'll wait and he'll do so at a later time. So that's the only communication I received from him regarding this. So what I will do is I will follow back up with Myron, and I will connect him with Commissioner Bukum tonight or tomorrow morning. And Commissioner Bukum, you can take control of it after that. So that's where it is at this time. So yeah. And Commissioner Bukum, as you can see, there are many projects going on in your single member district. Yeah. So thank you for that, Uchenna. And I see Deb, you have your hand, and then former Commissioner Washington.
Thank you. I just had one question. On the last call, there was discussion about some no dog poop signs.
Yes.
And we were asked to submit the request by email. I just want to know what's the status of responding to those requests.
Yes, we have Commissioner Bukum has located our signs. We do have. I remember the number 7. Is it 47, 57?
I think it's 57.
Okay.
Signs.
I remember 7. So we have 57 signs that we want to provide to those that request for them. And so I haven't received any.
I don't think I received any either.
I sent you an email the same night, so Gordon.
Maybe that's what it was, the same night. But we got you. So I will, if you just send another email, just reminding, let's top of my email. We have them. So we have located them. So we have been moving on that. So we just have to get one to you. It's either I think the best way to go about it is, I'm thinking it out of my head, we'll just drop one off at your location. So you just send your address, and myself, or because I believe you're in my single member district. So I'll drop it off. Yeah, I'll drop it off. I just have to get some from Commissioner Bukum. So just email me your address and I'll get that to you within the next couple of days.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And if there's anyone else that needs a sign, please reach out to your respective single member district commissioner or me to request one.
Or me.
Or Commissioner Bukum. Thank you, Commissioner Bukum. Yes. Or Commissioner Bukum as well. Thank you very much. Okay, former Commissioner Washington, you put your hand down, but want to make sure there's nothing that you had to say or had a question. Okay. All right. So one of the things that was really important to me is that we have time at the end for community comments, because there's always been a period of time when we would end the meetings and we wouldn't have an opportunity to hear from the community about other issues. So I thank you all for that. So now the time is 8:51. I will entertain a motion for our adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, motion's been made by Commissioner Lucio to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been seconded by Commissioner Bukum. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay, to my students at AU, I will send you email. Class is dismissed. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful evening. Take care. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.